Ribbit. Today I'm gonna update my FreeBSD box. It loses focus, of course. And then SSH box. And then I need to change, well, I don't need to here. So I will do it here though, so you can see what I'm doing. So before, like I'm trying to update from, right here we can see, uname, on this R, I'm running 33p7. So you can run freebsd version to see the same thing, but I can tack on KRU, and then this will show the case, the kernel that's installed. The R is the kernel you're running, and the U is the user land. These things will mismatch whenever you're upgrading stuff sometimes. So the first thing I like to do before I do any upgrades is to make sure my packages are updated. And that is cool. They are. One thing we can look at real quick is if we just go to the main site, you have 13.3, which I'm on, 13.4, which I'm going to, and this is a minor update, and 14.1 is in production. The 13.4 that I'm gonna be running, if we search for end of life, let's say, we'll see 13.3 goes till the December 31st, and then the 13 branch itself will be going till 2026 April-ish. So there's no hurry to go to 4, although I'll go to 4 soon. But I do want to get to 13.4. So the first thing after checking to make sure that the packages are upgraded already is to make sure that all the security patches and stuff on the minor release that I'm running now, I need to just do a do as. A do as is like sudo. It's just a replacement from OpenBSD, so I prefer that over. It's a lot cleaner looking. Also the config files and stuff. This shouldn't take too long because I think I'm up to date already, unless something's changed within the last day. But I was actually maybe like a couple of days ago running P6. So there we go. And then I won't have to run anything. There's nothing to do. So after that, normally you do an install if it downloaded anything. So now I want to do the same thing. FreeBSD upgrade. Except this time I'm going to upgrade. And then I'm going to put what I want to put there. So it's going to be 13.4. And I'm running release. Just make sure I'm sorry, yes. And of course I need to do as. FreeBSD update. Come on. And this will start downloading everything basically. This is going to download, and then when I run an install, it's going to install the kernel. This might take a while though. So this is just asking a couple questions. I'm running the generic kernel, so all that's correct for me. And once this is done, probably have to merge, like it's going to ask to merge files that have changed. A lot of this stuff has changed because they're not using SVN anymore. Now everything's on Git, so the configuration merging looks a little different than it used to. I guess someone that's used to Git will be used to it though. I guess while I'm on the subject, if I do a Control BB and then split this way, then I'm just typing prompt Adam3 because I changed, because I'm running Solarized, it makes it invisible. I changed the configuration file, but I haven't set it for this user because I usually don't run this guy on here. But in FreeBSD you have current, unstable, and release, which confuses quite a few people. Current is basically all the developers that are developing FreeBSD, and anyone curious can run current, which is constantly changing. So things are always changing. Stable, then the one stuff is, I don't know how it is now, but let's say in the past and probably now, usually it takes 3 days inside current before it can be moved to stable, let's say. And I'd say regularly it's probably 2 weeks. So normally stuff's probably in here for 2 weeks and then gets moved over here if it's cool and working and there's no issues. Then you have stable, which you could run if you, like, you're a FreeBSD developer, you're going to run current. If you are working on some other stuff, you could be like, maybe you're a developer and you want to have ports or something like that. You want to keep up with what's going on in the development of FreeBSD, but not be running the stuff that can break anytime. You're going to run stable. And then if you're just a normal user, or people that are curious, anybody can be running either of these, of course. And then if you're running this as a desktop, depending on who you are, you could be using stable, let's say. But if you don't want to mess with anything, you're going to run release. So stuff then, once it's stable in a stable branch, eventually can get moved and they'll periodically come out with a release. And this is what I would suggest running servers on such. And the everyday user probably could be on release if they don't want to like dig around with stuff. And at this point, it's going to download all kinds of stuff. And I mean, this could go up to 10,000, it could go up to 100,000, depending on all the stuff that's changed. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video here. Okay, so it downloaded these guys. Now it's going to start applying patches. And this will also take a while. So probably just going to let it run. I was kind of hoping that you'd see what it starts doing, but it'll just be something like this. So I'll go ahead and pause again. Oh, I think that was unpause, wasn't it? Let me try to pause it. All right, so it finally started showing that it's doing something. Now, yes, this looks cool. So right here it's showing that some stuff has been merged into the config file for SSH. And asking if it looks cool. I don't know what I pushed. I thought I hit Y. The following files are affected by the update. So it's just updated them. You know you're at the end because it says end down here. Just hit Q to go. And this is all the stuff that's going to be removed when upgrading to 13.4. So you can go through here and look at it, or hit Shift G to go to the bottom. And then hit Q to get out of this. And then it'll show you all the stuff that will be added. So you can see there'll be new stuff added to the boot kernel folder. And then I usually just go down a little bit and then Shift G. You just want to make sure nothing looks funky for the most part. Hit Q. And this is the stuff that will be updated. Same thing, Shift G to get down here. Hit Q to get out of there. And sometimes at this point, you have to reboot. Just all download upgrades. Run this again, but it's not telling me to reboot right now. But what I am going to do is run the freebsd-version tac KRU here. And then, see, I'm still running 3. And none of these are changed. Sometimes when you're doing this, some of these will change. And so now I need to run freebsd-update install. Do as in front. And then after this, it's going to install those changes. And probably this one may stay the same without a reboot. And then after this, it might actually want me to reboot. And once again, this will take a while, so I'll go ahead and pause it. I might unpause it if stuff starts changing. Oh, okay. Installing updates. Kernel updates have been installed. Please reboot. And then I would suggest, if you're not used to this, I mean, you're just going to have to run this again. But you might copy that just so you feel secure, let's say. So you know what it told you to do last, which I'll just throw down. And then if I run that freebsd KRU again, then you see the installed kernel has changed. Our running kernel has not, and the userland has not. So let me go ahead and reboot this system. And it doesn't take very long, but I'm going to go ahead and pause it anyway. Alright, I haven't been making sure it's unpausing, so let me do that. And then I'm going to go back in there. And then tmux, it just restarted, so there won't be one running already. And then it wanted us to run a freebsd-update install. So and depending after this is a minor upgrade, so it might not care, usually doesn't. But if it was a major upgrade at this point, you have to rebuild all your packages or your ports. So I don't think I'll have to do that. And then once again, this can take a while. So I guess I'll pause and hope all this pausing and unpausing is not affecting the video. And try to remember which buttons are which. The one thing I do want to try though before it gets too far is to split this. So I'm just hitting Control B, and then double quote. I need to fix this, it's getting annoying. A double quote to split it that way. But I want to try the freebsd-version tac KRU. And then after that reboot, all these guys are lined up right here. happen to be done, so let's get out of here. Oops. Too many little tags there. And notice that the patch levels changed to 1 because I'm on 13.4 now. And it did not tell me to reboot or anything. So it looks like I'm good to go now. And that's how you update from a minor version. Usually it's pretty good about telling you what to do as you're going along. And the most time-consuming part can be if you have a lot of ports or packages installed. Not necessarily packages, but ports installed and you're rebuilding all your ports. Then, I mean, on some people's system, depending on how many ports you have installed, it could take overnight. I've seen some guys, it could take up to 3 days. They do have a synth, which can speed things up because it installs stuff in parallel. You can take advantage of multiple processors and stuff. I've seen that speed up stuff by like a day or two when someone has a ridiculous amount of stuff installed. I have had it run overnight when I was running as a desktop, let's say, and have a bunch of programs for like X11 and GIMP and Kdenlive or something. Then some of that stuff by ports can take a long time. Usually, almost most people, to be normal, run it by running ports. There's a Poudriere, which is this that manages ports, and then there's synth. And a lot of people use port master because it doesn't take any dependencies. But some people use port upgrade, which has a Ruby dependency. And I've seen that be obnoxious because it has a if you're building the Ruby docs, I don't know if it still does it, but man, that can take hours to build those things. Like on one of my systems when I was using port upgrade, I just got rid of the Ruby docs just so it speeds stuff up. But I prefer port master over port upgrade personally. Synth is created to replace port master, port upgrade, and Poudriere, but it's not really gonna replace this because maybe it could be used in conjunction to build the ports to be used with this. A lot of people use this, and what you do with this is if you have 10 servers, then you build all your ports on one server, and then you use those as because it builds packages. If you install a port at the end, it usually uses a package add to add that. So it's building a package and then adding and then using package add to add it to your system. And this way you only have to make all your ports once. The difference is you can run packages if you're going to run defaults. So when you install Apache, GIMP, whatever, PHP, if you're going to take all the like defaults, then you can run packages and never look back. It's quicker, so it's nice. But if you change stuff around, then you're probably going to run ports. If you want to customize the installs of packages, then people use ports. It's normally a bad idea to mix the two, but you can do it if you know what you're doing. In some ways, synth can make that a little bit easier, but well, there's two issues, I guess, off the top of my head that can happen is one, packages are quarterly, so they come out like 4 times a year, and people build those and throw them in and you can use those. And then ports, especially like right now, port snaps what install the ports on here, then that's going to be using head, which means they're not running quarterly. And I don't think with port snap you can change that. Git is now the way to do this. I think when I upgrade to 14 from 13, they're gonna port snap might not even be there. It's part of the base right now and has been for a while, but it's now going to be in the port system, so you can upgrade that, I guess. I mean, install that there. And then with Git, though, you can make your ports run quarterly, which I think I'll do that in a different video when I'm upgrading the system. I might show a little bit of that. And so that will kind of be in, like, it'll help you out because at least it'll be in sync rather than totally different, which can mess things up. And the other thing is, if you run, let's just say you're running Apache or PHP or MariaDB, let's say, and then you have something on there that, let's say you install everything with packages, but you installed Apache with the port, and then you took away something like you didn't want. So you take some of the things off of there, and then now you go install PHP again, the newer version of PHP with the package, and then something that you took out of here, it's expecting, then it's going to install, and you might not even notice that stuff's messed up, for instance. And then down the line, there could be a conflict, and you're not going to be able to figure out, like, whoa, what's wrong? You're doing all this stuff. The issue might be that this PHP is expecting something because it was installed a package, that if you would use the package, what's in here, but since you use ports and you took that option out, there's a, like, a dependency or something missing. And so it adds, over time, can add up so many little conflicts. And if you didn't mix these two, you'd know this is not the issue, I can go somewhere else. But if you have mixed these two, if you can't find out what your problem is, then it could be underlying in the installs, and then you're going to have to chase that stuff down. So if you know what you're doing, then do it all day long. But if you don't, then pick one or the other. And then since I'm talking about them, there's ports. And this is how you usually, normal people, especially in the past before package came around, install their stuff. So you can, inside here, you can say like make search. And then if I wanted to see like Apache 24, let's say, sorry, it's make search name equal. And then you can see right here is Apache, right? And then it'll show you where it's at. So if I wanted to use the ports, I can jump in here in this folder and then make install clean, and it'll install Apache for me. Sometimes this is convenient too, because like if I was to say like just go into one of these, like ports management, for instance, and then I was talking about synth, let's say, and then in here you have a package description, so it'll show you what this is. And there's another utility psearch that searches through here. So I could say like psearch synth, for instance. And then I could say like, well, let me just put that back. And then -L to show the long descriptions of the stuff that it's finding in here. And they have all these other ones, but here's the actual one that I was just looking at a second ago. And then you have package info also, but like synth is not installed. And package, I don't even think it understands that synth is there anyway. So package, package info synth. But if I was to say like Apache 24, then it'll give information about that. Anyway, it's already done. Rebert.